What's up, party people? Schmook here. Welcome back to G Cube, the sister channel to M Cubed, the future of media. Now, we have an exciting week of football. I don't think there's any great matchups this week. I think it's a good week for betting purposes. Like I don't think there's any fun game per se. I mean, we'll have good games to watch. We always do. Um, I'm starting this a little bit early, but just a couple minutes. Not too crazy. Hopefully, more people join. Yeah, I guess my game of the week that I think will be fun. There'll be points on the board. That would be Seattle versus the Bengals. I think that'll be a fun, explosive matchup. Um, I think the 49ers versus Browns is potentially be a good game because I think PJ Walker's actually he's one of the better backups in the league. Very underrated guy. I remember when he was kicking ass in the XFL. Because Deshaun Watson is out, I'm pretty sure. If I like any other games, I think the Lions Bucks has potential to be a fun game. The Cardinals Rams, I was going to say had the potential with James Conner out. I'm like, eh. Even though Marquise Brown's been a monster, so Eagles Jets could be a fun one. But yeah, a lot of it's just I think the Colts Jags actually might be the best game besides the Seahawks Bengals. As I'm looking at the list, I think Colts versus Jags. It's a fight for that division. Both teams been playing well. Unfortunately, the Colts don't have Anthony Richardson, so I think if they had him, I think it'd be a much closer game. But we'll get into it. So we can start off. We'll start off with my team, who's been an incredible disappointment this year. Sorry, my hair's a little bit of a mess. My goodness. Um, it's Sunday. You know how lazy Sundays kind of are. I haven't showered yet. Blech. But we have the Vikings taking on the Bears in Chicago. Now, Justin Fields is playing. I know their running back Khalil Herbert is hurt. Now, this is a game where the Vikings are 3-point favorites, right? They're a team that's able to put points on the board. They're able to get after the quarterback, but they have not been able to win games. But they're able to be at least competitive with good teams, like last week. I mean, they could have won last week against the Chiefs. And the Bears have not been considered a very good team. But the Bears are kind of explosive as of late. Justin Fields I could see him running all over this Vikings defense. DJ Moore is looking like one of the best wide receivers in the league, which I hate because I traded him in a dynasty fantasy football league. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Now, the Vikings are 3-point favorites. I like it. This kind of game I kind of want to stay away from though because you don't know which Vikings you're going to get. You don't know which Kirk Cousins you're going to get. It is a noon game. I think the locker room is a little bit so I think this is a must-win game for the Vikings. Because if they win this game, they could make playoffs. Because this division's pretty weak. The NFC as a whole isn't the best. It's been better this year than recent years. The AFC's been looking a lot weaker. But Justin Jefferson's out. He's on the IR. He's been out for at least 4 weeks. But apparently they're saying that he's been jogging around in the locker room. He looks fine, but it's like they should just let him rest for 4 weeks, especially see how the team's doing by then. Because he could not play the rest of the season, because the Vikings aren't playing well. Why should he hurt himself and he hasn't gotten paid yet? Crazy. He's the best player in football besides Pat Mahomes, I would say. But anyway, I'll take the Vikings, but their spread of 3 points, and then they could win by that. But I don't like the game. Next up, we have the Commanders taking on the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta. The Falcons are 1.5-point favorites. I like the Falcons in this game. I think Desmond Ridder's starting to grow a little bit more as a quarterback. I don't think he's that good. I think Sam Howell is actually he's going to develop into a very nice young quarterback for the Commanders. But this is kind of a poo-poo game, in my opinion. I guess for the Vikings Bears, who I like to score, I like T.J. Hawkinson and I like DJ Moore. Those are the two I really like for that game. Anyway, I like the Falcons. 1.5 point favorites. I think they have better playmakers all around. Atlanta's team's just kind of young and scrappy, which I like. I think they have a good coach. They won a good game, or yeah, they won a very close game last week against the Texans, which I was kind of pissed about because it ruined one of my picks, right? But again, Bijan Robinson's good, so I'm going to say he can score a touchdown, and I think Terry McLaurin's due. I think he's due, but the Falcons have a very good cornerback room. So I can see the Commanders' wide receivers not doing that great. So maybe I'll say it's going to be a Bijan Robinson and a Brian Robinson Jr. type of day for this game. So yeah, take the Falcons and then those two guys to score a touchdown. Okay. And I don't know what the under over is, but I'd probably take that under. With the Vikings, I'd take the over. I need to start writing down the over unders, but based on the teams, I have a decent guess that they're in like the middle 40s unless it's like an explosive game. Yeah. So next week I'll try to have the unders for you guys, under overs, but I usually try to stay away from that stuff because it's always so fucking close. It's always so close. Like the spread at least at times can be like, oh, okay, cool. But somehow they always guess the number pretty closely, which I hate. So it's a very 50-50 thing. All right, next up we have Seattle versus the Bengals. Bengals are at home. They're 3-point favorites. I'm just going to be quick. I like the Bengals here. I think last week showed that they're coming back to their true form. They had a rough start to the season, but there's a lot of time left, a lot of games left. This is going to be a harder one because the Seattle Seahawks are a pretty decent team. They're coming off a bye week. But I see Jamar Chase having a monster game, just like last week. Joe Burrow starting to come back to who he used to be. I don't think Geno Smith's been as impressive as he was last year. Even though he has like 3 really good wide receivers and a beast running back, he should be doing better. Seattle has a good young defense and a pretty dope offense if Geno Smith can lock in. So I do like the Bengals here. I think they're just an overall better team when they come to play how they should. So I'll take them. They're at home. I think it's a must-win game for them. Who do I like to score? I like Kenneth Walker, the running back for Seattle. Now I like Jamar Chase, and I think I like Joe Mixon in this one as well because Seattle has like a good young cornerback who could lock up Jamar, but I think Jamar is just better. But so I could see this being a more like the passing game could not work for both these teams, which would be wild. But I like Joe Mixon just to score. I think it's going to be a good running back game. All right, next up we have the Colts taking on the Jags in Jacksonville. The Jags are 4-point favorites. I'll just take that. I think the Jags are starting to look better, like how they should. The Colts are good, but I don't think Gardner Minshew can win this type of game, like being the full-time starter for the week. If they have Anthony Richardson, I would be more intrigued. The Colts have one of the best running games in the league, and they didn't even really use Jonathan Taylor last week, but I think he's used a lot more this week. So that he could be the X factor to help the Colts win. But I'm just going to take the Jags in the spread, 4 points. I think Calvin Ridley's been a monster. I think Travis Etienne has been one of the best backs in the league. Their defense is solid. But yeah, the Jags are just an overall better team. But again, the Colts they're close. I think they're very close to being like a top tier team here soon. All right, next up we have the Panthers taking on the Dolphins. The Dolphins are 14-point favorites. Ultimately, I just like the Dolphins to win this game no matter what. 14 points is a lot of points, but they're one of the most capable teams that could do it. They have great wide receivers. No one's really hurt right now. Well, they just lost Kane to he's on the IR for 4 weeks, but again, you still have Raheem Mostert, who's a boss regardless. I think he still has like the second most rushing yards this year. But yeah, Dolphins win no matter what. I guess for the Colts Jags game, I forgot to mention who I like for a touchdown. I like Travis Etienne, and I like it's going to be either Zach Moss or Jonathan Taylor. It's based on who they use in that backfield, but it's going to be one of those running backs. But again, for the Panthers-Dolphins, I think it's going to be one of those games where like the Dolphins get up big quickly. So the Panthers are going to be forced to throw the ball a lot. So I think it could become an ultimately closer game. I still think the Dolphins are going to win by those 14 points. But I like Tyreek Hill. I'll say he can score any given week. He's a guy I like. And then the Panthers, I like Adam Thielen. He's been kind of a beast this year. So let's do that. Next up, we have the 49ers taking on the Browns. 49ers are 9.5-point favorites. The Browns are at home. And, I mean, I'll take the 49ers. I think they can win by a touchdown and a field goal, no doubt. The Browns, again, they don't have Deshaun Watson this week. They lost Nick Chubb for the season. This team is just kind of in a shit show right now, unfortunately. Because I like players on that team. I really like Amari Cooper. I love Nick Chubb when he's healthy. David Njoku burnt the shit out of his face. So they're down bad. And the 49ers have been like the best team in football. So them to only be 9.5-point favorites, I'm taking that no matter what. Christian McCaffrey, easy touchdown score. If you want maybe something with better odds, I'd take a Brock Purdy touchdown. I don't mind Brandon Ayuk either. For the Browns, I mean, of course, I'd like to say Amari Cooper because I think he's the best offensive player on that team. They're going to score. They'll score somehow. So I'd say Amari Cooper or Elijah Moore. But yeah, definitely take the 49ers. I think the 49ers, again, they can win by 10 points. They've been the best team in football, in my opinion. Okay, next up we have the Saints taking on the Texans. They're in Houston. The Saints are 1.5-point favorites. But the thing is, I just don't think the Saints have been that good of a football team. But Alvin Kamara is back, and he's been kind of kicking some ass. And but the Texans I just like. They're young, they're scrappy. But the Saints, I guess I will say they have Chris Olave, they have Michael Thomas, they have Alvin Kamara. Derek Carr's been pretty decent. The Texans are just young, but they're at home, so they can impress. But I will take the Saints here. I think they were my lock of the week last week. Basically, anyone who plays the Patriots, I like their spread no matter what because the Patriots look like dog doo-doo right now. Mac Jones has been benched 2 weeks in a row. So there you go. Who I like to score in this game. I love Alvin Kamara to score in this. And on the Texans, I think we get a Dameon Pierce touchdown. I like the running backs today. So for the Patriots versus the Las Vegas Raiders. So, again, as I just mentioned, I gave you a little prelude to it. Take the Raiders, take that 3-point spread. They're at home. Davante Adams has been kicking ass. Josh Jacobs is good. I believe Jimmy G is playing. And again, the Patriots have not looked good. I like a Josh Jacobs touchdown here. I don't know if I like anyone to score for the Patriots. If anyone was to, I'd probably be Ramondre Stevenson. He's the only guy I think could do it. All right. Next up, we have the Lions taking on the Bucs. The Bucs are at home. The Lions are 3-point favorites. I think this is going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a good one. I do think the Lions win. Like 3-point spread's not bad, so I'll take that. The Lions, though, I like David Montgomery. Lock it in. He's been an absolute beast this year. But I'm not sure if Amon-Ra St. Brown or what's his name? Sam Laporta. I don't know if either of them are playing. If they are playing, I like that a lot more. But again, if they're not, it's going to be a very explosive running game for the Lions if they want to win. The Bucs, I mean, Baker's been decent. He has Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, arguably the best wide receiver duo in the league. Yeah, take that Lions spread, and then I like Chris Godwin to score a touchdown, and I like David Montgomery. Because I think Chris Godwin's due. I think he's good. Mike Evans is usually the guy who's going to get double teamed because he's just a monster. Again, I can see him scoring too. Next up, we have the Cardinals taking on the Rams in LA. The Rams are 7-point favorites. I'm just going to say I'm going to take that. James Conner's out for the Cardinals, so I think they're going to have a little bit less of explosiveness, where the Rams could probably stop them a few times on defense because they don't have a bad defense. They still have Aaron Donald. I think they can win by a touchdown because now they have Cooper Kupp back. Puka Nacua has been a monster. Kyren Williams has been great. Be high till I die, baby. Yeah, I just like the Rams here. The Rams have been a very explosive team. They've been a team I was not expecting to play as well as they have been. So I like them. Who I like to score? I like Puka. Puka's my boy. On the Cardinals, if we're going to get anyone to score on that team, if you're going to take a little bit of a riskier pick, I like Rondale Moore. But if not him, I'd say Marquise Brown. But again, it could be one of these running backs who's going to try to step it up for James Conner, but we'll see. Right, next up, we have the Eagles taking on the Jets. The Eagles are 6.5-point favorites. They are playing in New York. It's like the Eagles here. I think they'll win by a touchdown. The Jets just aren't there, but they don't have a bad team. Zach Wilson is playing better than we thought. But the Eagles are just monstrous. I like A.J. Brown to score a touchdown this game. I think I like DeAndre Swift to score a touchdown this game. And if anyone wants to score on the Jets, I think probably a Breece Hall. Probably Breece Hall. He's been kicking ass, and they're finally like letting him get loose. He's a monster. But still, the Eagles are going to win by a touchdown. Next, we have the Giants take on the Bills. The Bills are 15-point favorites. They are playing in Buffalo. The Giants have not been good. Daniel Jones might be out, which could be a good or bad thing. Who knows? I don't know who their backup is. Wish I could remember. I can't though. But the Bills, you have Josh Allen, you have Stephon Diggs, you have a great defense. You're playing at home with like the best fans. 15 points isn't ridiculous, and it's Sunday Night Football. But again, that is a lot of points. Bills win this game, but I just don't love that spread. Maybe a spread I'd stay away from. Just like with the Dolphins. I mean, when it gets above like 11 points, I'm a little because that's just a lot. But again, the Dolphins and the Bills are more than capable to hit those. So, who do I like to score in this game? It's Saquon's first game back. He's been off it for a while, so they've been resting him up, make sure he's all good. So I like him potentially. He could have a monstrous game. And then for the Bills, I like, and this is Sunday Night Football. This is the last one for the video. The Bills, though, I think I like a Josh Allen rushing touchdown. I like a Stephon Diggs. And then I would maybe take a splash at James Cook. Okay. All right, guys, I think that's going to do it here. Make sure to like and subscribe. Leave your comments down below. Who are your favorite teams? I also want to know what your picks are for next week so we can talk about it. All right, guys. I'll catch y'all very soon. Bye-bye.